Okay, just want to talk about our bandsaw a little bit. First of all, this is a horizontal bandsaw. What we've got going on with this guy is inside, you've got two wheels, one at the front, one at the back. And there is a large metal band, that's got your bandsaw teeth on there. I know some of you guys may have used the woodworking type bandsaws, the vertical saws. Really kind of a similar item for sure, but it's definitely, this is a little bit more heavy duty than what those saws are, since it's meant to cut steel. As we go around to the other side, I'll show you some other features here of this saw. We have the saw itself is got a clamp mounted on it right there, and it simply just works as easy as this. You just take your piece, put your piece in there, put it in, and you push that lever down, and then that's secure. There's nothing else you have to do. There's no knob to turn or anything like that. Just push that lever down, and it's secure. Always kind of give it a little bit of a tug, to make sure that that's in the right spot and locked in there tightly. We do have the on-off button, which are located up here. Pretty much you will not need to use the off button, because when this machine gets down to the bottom of the cut, it shuts off on its own. So your on-off button's right there. If you ever need to turn it off, you can push that button. To release it, you have to turn it, and then it pops out. But again, in normal circumstances, you won't need the red button to turn the machine off. It'll do that automatically. We have knobs right here that we can adjust to move our slides forward and back, so we can get it closer to the material, so we don't have so much blade that's unsupported there in the center. We've got also have a hydraulic cylinder located here at the back. Let me see if I can get in there. You can see that hydraulic cylinder. There's a valve on there that we can kind of open and close, so we can kind of determine how quickly this saw will go down. We do not sit here and guide the saw down. You set that little valve to what you want, and the saw goes down at its own speed. So right now I've opened that valve a little bit. If I want to go slower, I can close it, and we can drastically slow down the speed. Now that valve I've got on there, it also has a feature where we don't have to do anything to it to raise the saw back up. You can just simply lift up from the handle and pick the saw up, and it will go up. Okay, so now when we cut our piece, we're going to go for a piece that's 4.5 inches in length. We do not need to mark on the material at all. The best way to do this so we don't have mistakes, first of all, is to lower the saw down so we are, our blade is, above the part. We don't want to rest the blade on the part. So I'm going to open that valve up, let it come down, and then when it gets closer, I can just simply screw it in to hold it fixed in that position. So it's coming down here. I'm above the blade. I close that valve up so it's tight. The saw does not move at this point. It's stable. We need to go ahead and use a ruler, and we're going to measure off of the blade itself. We want to cut a piece that's 4.5 inches long. I just happen to be close. I didn't plan it that way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the other side here. It takes a little bit of reaching over it to get this to happen, especially when it's just one person. So, I'm sitting at like 4 3/8. I'm going to loosen up that little push down lever on the vise. I'm going to slide it over, and then push back down on that and say, okay, it's 4.5 inches. There's no need to mark on the part. We want to know how big that piece is that's going to be left from that bandsaw. So if you mark with a marker or a Sharpie, well, that Sharpie could have a thickness of like 1/8 of an inch or so, which means that you could be off 1/8 of an inch depending on whether you cut on the right side of the line, the left, the center. Your measurement's going to be not very exact. When you measure from the blade, you're going to get more accurate parts to go ahead and to make. So at this point, I've got it clamped down. I've got it measured. I've got my hands away. I'm going to turn the green button on, push the green button to start the machine, and then I'm going to reach back to the back and open up that hydraulic valve in the back to slowly let it lower down into the material. So I'm just going to turn it on, reach back and turn this thing on so it just barely moves. It is aluminum, so it does cut pretty quickly. And I've got a pretty aggressive blade on here since aluminum's so soft. So as the shavings just coming off the back. We just kind of stand back and wait for it to happen. It'll get to the bottom and it'll shut off on its own. Your piece will be laying there. There's no need to hold your part, as it falls off. I mean, where's it gonna go? Worst case scenario, it bounces on the floor. Keep your hands away from it, until that machine comes to a stop. So we've got our part cut. Again, we don't have to mess with the valve. We don't have to open that up or anything like that. We don't have to back it off. We can just simply pick up on the handle, to raise the saw up to get it out of the way. And then we can reach in and grab our part. And our saw does a pretty good job. There's almost always going to be a little burr left on the bottom from the cutting operation. That can just be broken off if you want to. But when we put it in the lathe, we're going to machine this flat, so those like grooves are not in there from the sawing process. We'll do an operation that'll take that and make that smooth.